Hey, we're live.
It says it's live.
It
I,
says it's live. We'll see if anybody chimes in and tells me if my audio is good or bad.
no,
Hey, it
can't
says we're
fix
live. So let me know if you can hear Bill. Let me know if you can hear me, and if we sound okay. I'll go over to the YouTube side of things. Yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. We've got some people there. So I don't know. Audio is good. Fantastic. We've got
good.
audio is good.
I've got both the machines on, so their fans are pretty loud.
Okay. Here, wait a minute. Let's see. So there we go. So RC Maniac is always one of the first ones to say it. And he says he can see us and he can hear us. So there we go. Well, welcome everybody. So we went a little bit live. It was just to work out some of the kinks, but I guess there's no kinks.
That was simple.
uh, let's see. What's going on in your neck of the woods, Bill?
Um,
You're where? You're Indiana, right?
I'm in Indiana, near Cincinnati. Yeah,
Okay.
I think the big news in Cincinnati is the I-75 bridge that goes across the Ohio River has been closed for about 2 weeks because they've been debating on replacing the bridge for many, many, many years. It's been outdated for many, many, many years. And about 2 weeks ago, I saw my truck burned up on it. So it's kind of forcing their hand, but they
Yeah,
want
apparently.
$1 billion to replace the bridge. So
Oh,
um,
geez.
yeah,
Well, that sounds exciting.
yeah. I mean, that's about it.
Okay. I mean, let's see, it is cold here, a little
Hey,
wet.
good news. Uh,
What?
Anybody that's ordered a 3D Chameleon, the Mark II, the new version,
Yeah.
uh, the today we finished the last of the back orders, and actually all open orders shipped today.
Hey, there
So
we go.
that was awesome.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic news.
Yes, great for me. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
And I saw you've got Repcord printing some of your parts.
oh yeah, yeah. We can't. I just need too many of them now. I mean, there's our sales are too good.
That's a
So
great problem to have.
let me tell you what, his product, his parts are absolutely fantastic.
Really?
Oh yeah, the quality of them. It so what I did was I have a Crusoe Mark III that I
Mm.
always printed all of our parts on. Actually, I had a Mark II for the old model. The new one I built a profile from the Mark III, and I'm all about consistency, right? It's you do the same thing every time.
That's
You
right.
want a consistent product, right? So I built a profile for the Mark III. I sliced it. I sent that file to him, and I told him the setup, right? And he
Okay.
did it on his bank of printers, and they dead on exactly what they're supposed to be. Now he
Perfect.
suggested a change in filament. I had Persimmon jet black PLA is what I was using,
Okay.
and sorry, jet black PETG, sorry, and but he suggested I can't remember whose it was. I think it's IC3D's
Oh,
um,
yeah.
black PETG, and that's he printed them. They're fantastic, absolutely wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah,
they have really good PETG. I've printed with it, and it's really easy to use. It's crisp, it's clean, and it's consistent,
yeah.
right?
Well, the machine helps a lot there too, right? And he has,
Oh,
a,
sure.
exactly the same machine I have, the Mark III's. It's such a fantastic printer. I mean, it's just we print and forget it. We just don't even worry with it. Literally, I can't think of any failures I've had in the past year on the machine. So
It's true. There's it's you and I mean, well, you especially, you've been doing this much longer and you've had to fight through things quite a bit more than me or many others, but when you find something that is quality and consistent, you just want to hang on to it and hold it, and you're good, right?
yep, yep. Yeah, that machine, the new their new little mini is a great little machine. Um,
I
and
liked it. I reviewed it positively. I know some people have had
the
some
new,
lackluster experiences with it just because of
yeah,
the
the
probe, I
Pinder,
think.
yeah. But they've got the new one that's the Pinder Super Pinder or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah, Super Pinda or whatever it is. Pinda, yeah, it's the plus. Builder's Mark, I have to highlight this because he just threw $20 for barbecue and donuts funds because I talked about this on Twitter. Thank you, Builder's Mark. I talked about barbecue and donuts and getting hungry on Twitter, and then Builder's Mark was like, "Next stream, I'm gonna give to your barbecue and donuts fund," and sure enough.
So, what barbecue place in Seattle would you go to?
Oh, usually, so for us, there's some decent barbecue places, but what we've done is usually just barbecue at home. We have a really good grill, and my wife is incredibly good at cooking meats exactly how they need to be on the barbecue. We don't go outlandish, but the kids aren't really into spices so much, or too exotic of flavors. But she will cook all sorts of really tasty meats. I will put sauces on them. What we like to do, fondue. Do you do fondue?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a fondue pot at home, and we like to cook the meats in there. That's kind of fun.
How about is it Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts?
We've got Krispy Kremes. We don't have Dunkins out here.
Okay.
Typically for Krispy Kremes are okay. They're like if you just want donuts real cheap, real fast, that's where you go because they're open and they're cheap and they're fast.
Timmy's?
Otherwise, though, we have something out here called Top Pot, and you get a donut there, and it's an experience. It's very dense and tasty and terrific, but they're expensive.
You don't have Timmy's out there? Tim Hortons?
No, that's the only time I've had Timmy's is up in Canada.
Yeah, but we have them down here as well. Yes,
Look at this. Tripod's getting me my first drink.
There
$4.99. He's out of his mind. Bill, you've been a part of my streams. You know the crazy stuff we do. Someone gives me something ending in 99, and I call them crazy.
Yep.
I try to highlight the people that have good questions, stuff like that. But we're pretty close. Should we start the actual meat and potatoes of the stream? Are you game?
Why not?
Let's
Somebody's
do it.
gonna pay for the barbecue.
That's true. All right, I'll give us a little introduction. So for everybody who's here, thanks for joining us. Right over here, that's Bill Steele. You know him of Polar 3D, of 3D Chameleon, of just being an all-around good dude. He has the Creality CR-30 like I do as well, but also the iFactory 1 belt printer that was sent to me. It was parts, and I didn't have time to put it together, and Bill was like, wait a minute, I have time. And so I shipped it off to him, and that one that you see behind him right over there, that's not the CR-30, that's the iFactory 1, and he's been dedicating quite a bit of time to that. He's also talked with those people over at iFactory about their Kickstarter and trying to get them going. So Bill's had a lot of experience with the CR-30. Bill's had a lot of experience with the iFactory 1. I figured it was time that we get out into the industry, kind of not necessarily a comparison. Well, I mean, we will go head to head, right, with what you got on the build plates, but just a conversation about what this is and what this isn't, and what the iFactory 1 is and what it isn't. They're both on Kickstarter right now, which some people like that, some people don't. It's completely up to you, but at least the goal here is for us to get a lot of qualified information out for you to help make an educated choice if this is your bag of tea. And I think, how was that, Bill? Was that a good intro?
Heck yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness. And look at that. Project R3D's given us $199 because he's out of his mind. Hey, Joe. Belt printers will be a great tool for small batch manufacturing. I fear too many people are only going to see the benefits of them without acknowledging the trade-offs. Nonetheless, belts have a place in the market moving forward, and I'm excited. So that's actually something that works well, because this is the first question really I wanted us to have a discussion around, Bill. A belt style 3D printer isn't the end all do all be all. It's not a replacement. It's a tool, in that a 3D printer is a tool, and it just accomplishes things in a different way. Do you agree?
Yeah. So when I first came up with the original concept, Polar 3D is an educational focused 3D printing company. We have a platform for education, curriculum and things like that.
Yeah.
And we started selling our own printers, the old Polar 3D printer. into schools, and we found a problem with it in that a lot of schools would buy a printer and then it would sit on the shelf and the rest of the school didn't have access to it, right?
Yeah.
So we said, well, why don't we make the cloud platform to give everybody access to that printer? So we did. And then we found another major problem, and that was that we gave them access to the printer. Somebody would print it, and then start the print job, and then leave for the night. And
Okay.
the printer was out of commission until the rest of the until the morning when it came back in to clear it off. So I got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, how do I solve this particular issue? And one day I was actually driving down the road, and a Model T on a back of a flatbed truck pulled up next to me, and I looked at that and I thought, of course, why not print the layers like an assembly line, right?
Okay.
You print one layer, you move on, and then while it's out of the way, you can go back and print the next layer, right? And
That's right.
Doing that for every part that's on it. And as soon as I thought of that idea, I went back to Ed, my partner at Creality 3D, and we discussed it and decided to build a printer.
Okay.
And the funny thing was that it wasn't an FDM printer; it was a resin, an SLA printer. And so
you decided to go the easy route first, didn't you?
Well, we had a particular reason in mind for that, but it made a lot of sense at the time. The problem was that there was no software available for that. And I thought the easiest way for me to tackle the software was to break the problem down into functional, things. So we had a machine on one side and the software on another side. And I knew very well how to drive the FDM printers. So I took MakerBot, right, and tore it all apart. And actually built that machine right there.
There it is. Look at that. That is history. Here, wait. I'm going to make you really big. Okay. Look at that. So what is that printer right there?
So the black part, there's two printers there, right? The black part is actually a modified MakerBot replicator with the build plate tilted at a 45-degree angle. So a lot of people, this actually brings up another funny question. A lot of people ask why it's called an infinite Z and not an infinite Y. And I mean, this is the reason, because the X and Y stayed the same. They didn't change on the original printer, right? We changed the belt, the bed, into the belt, which is the Z axis, right? So that's why it's the infinite Z, and that's why all the software that I wrote, when I developed it on this machine. I built this machine so I could develop that software, right?
And this is that's the same one that I saw at Murph a few years back, right?
Yeah, I first showed this off at the Rapid show a year before Murph, actually, down in Florida.
Oh.
It had a pretty white case around it back then. And then even before that, it was an old wooden. It was a MakerBot replicator, right? Wooden box. So yeah, it's been through a lot of iterations.
That's amazing. And then above it is what?
Yeah,
above looks like that looks like a printer belt.
It is. That is the prototype printer belt. That's the very first one. So
that's fantastic. I actually I bought that off Brooke, and then he refunded my money and he sent me the parts, and then PrinterBot was no longer.
Yeah.
I was really sad about that.
Like he's busy right now.
Yeah, well, I bet.
This machine is the when Brooke, I showed this one to Brooke. That in that meeting, that was actually at Murph. I convinced him to go ahead and build his own, and so we sat down and kind of laid the groundwork for this one. And I told him, "You build the hardware, I will take care of all the software for you."
That's fantastic.
So that's what I did.
That's beautiful. So then, all of your belt printing experience is from not just building the machine itself, and it's also creating the software to be able to slice in that assembly line fashion.
Yeah, yeah. So the belt printer actually, interestingly enough, I found out that I wasn't the first, right? There was others previous to that. And when I say belt, I'm talking about an angle belt, or what I call the tilted conveyor belt. The tilted conveyor belt was actually developed first by Andres Bastian, who I believe is at Autodesk in their
I see.
Tier 9, I think is what they call their R&D development, right? And he actually built it for a totally different reason as well. he built it to make cloth, right? He wanted 3D printed cloth, and that allowed him to
Oh,
continuous streams. So he had a totally different reason for doing it as well. But what I found out later on was that he never tackled the software. He hand coded all the G code, and
oh,
there
oh,
wasn't
geez.
slicing from his point of view,
Whoa.
which is good because it turned out that his machine and my machine were very similar. If you want to, you can actually go down and download his plans. They're still out on what's the site where they get Constructables. So
Oh,
he
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, he put it out on Constructables, and it's a clever machine. It's actually a variable tilt, but he did not tackle the software, and I did that. So I wrote the first, what I call the post processor, tilted conveyor post processor, and then released that. And I'm pretty sure that's where that floodgate started of software, right? And by floodgate I mean uh, the Cura modifications, right?
Right. I
And,
kind of figured.
and now we have two different versions of that software here, right? So
That's right. Well, everything's based on the Cura engine, right?
exactly. But my plugin will actually work on any of them. It was a very simple plugin. It doesn't do supports or anything like they're doing. But I mean, we have the basis now between the two to really take this to the next level. So Idea
Well,
Maker.
you saw that.
One.
You saw Idea Maker is actually doing 45-degree slicing.
Yep, that's great. So I can't wait to see what they've done.
It should. They said a couple weeks for a beta. I'm just kind of really excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So Bill, we've got history. Thank you for that. The history of where this comes from. It's always refreshing, right? Because it's a true maker story. It's you and others. It's just kind of hands-on, like hardware and software, and making it go. And so now we're at the point where we have these refined machines. So I have a CR-30, just like you, but then next to yours is an iFactory 1. So what I want to do, I want to go through and talk about my review of the CR-30 and what I thought of the different sections, the different components. And then I want you to then let me know what you think of those, and then compare that to the iFactory right next to it. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Okay. So the first item I want to talk about is build quality. And while the CR-30 is it's a Kickstarter printer, right? This isn't going to be its final form. It's still built incredibly well. There are no 3D printed parts holding it together. Everything is steel and aluminum extrusion and nuts and bolts. And like I said in my review, I could stand on it. And funny enough, off camera, I did stand on this machine. I hurt my foot the other day, and I didn't want to put all of my weight on it for fear of that I might fall and hurt myself even further. But I have stood on this thing, and it took it no problem.
It would take a lot more of your weight to do that. So
I kind of figured that. But what has your experience been with the CR-30 then, as far as build quality?
I agree. I'm incredibly impressed with what Creality has been doing lately, and I look at things a little differently than the typical machine, right? I mean, I'm looking at a typical, I'll say, Chinese printer, and the quality of the cuts, for example, of the aluminum extrusions, the precision of those cuts. On the CR-30, and to be honest with you, also the same cuts I saw on the CR6, the SE. The quality of that, the cutting, the machining that was done on those, just fantastic. It's a huge level step up from every other Chinese printer I've seen. And then the second thing is like you said, the strength of this. They actually went well above what a strength requirement for this machine needs to be, right? I mean, it's way, way, way over engineered, and that's a good thing for us because that means it's way stable, right?
Right.
It really shows. I'm actually really impressed with the build quality of that machine. Yes.
Okay. So you find similar to what I found as far as build quality, sturdiness, rigidity.
Yep.
Okay. So now let's
over-engineered, and that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, right? You're paying for it, but it's a you're paying for it. It's good, right?
Well, I think by saying over-engineered, though, we're just talking about it being all metal and just held together really well, right?
Structurally, it's actually, yeah, I would say it's excessive in some of the structure. I mean, it doesn't need to be as strong as it is for it to still work effectively, um,
Okay.
which is not.
Well, though, if it is built a little bit better in certain areas, then it really makes it a really good platform for tinkering, right? Because then
Oh
people
yeah,
can try things without the fear of breaking it as easily.
yep, yep,
So
yeah.
now I want to talk about the iFactory right next to you. I know that it came to me as a kit in a box, which I then shipped the box off to you. And so I know that it was parts to you. iFactory has a kit, a partially assembled kit, and a fully assembled machine, I believe, available at their Kickstarter. At least that's what I was told in email. But once you got the box, what were your first impressions?
Um, so it is a collection of parts, and there is only a couple parts that are assembled free for you. The hot end and the extruder are the major subcomponents that were assembled for you already, but they were not put on anything, right? So
I see.
what they have done now, I can say with confidence on both of these. Both of these are built with the um, availability of components from the manufacturers already there, right? So Creality has built on top of a previous machine, and it's obvious. A lot of the stuff that's in this is taken from, for example, the Ender series. The hot end is a copy. The electronics, the LCD, the exact same thing happened over here, right? They had a source machine, and my analysis of it tells me that it's a Trunksy of some sort
Okay.
that is a Core XY. They used a lot of off-the-shelf components, again, available from the Chinese inventory, the same way that Creality did. With that, they both took the same approach. They took the Core XY structure and they mounted it at an angle, right? It's an off-the-shelf Core XY structure from that donor machine, whatever that is. And then they there is a little deviation in the way they've done the belts. For example, the belt on this one is a modification of that donor build plate, where the Creality is clearly not a donor device, right? The,
Oh.
the conveyor belt definitely is a off-the-shelf item. I believe the entire drive system, maybe not the motor, but the actual rollers and everything else is an off-the-shelf system. It's incredibly well engineered, which tells me that whoever designed it had a lot of experience designing this, right?
Okay.
So there's legacy hardware here and there's legacy hardware here from two different vendors. But interestingly enough, the hot ends are almost nearly identical between the two. They're both the Ender style hot ends, right? I mean, almost nearly identical. The only difference is the Creality has an extra fan on it, and the iFactory does not have that extra fan. But they
You're
are
talking on the hot end. So the CR-30 blows from both sides.
That's right. It actually blows from
iFactory
three sides if you look carefully at it. There's the duct actually faces down from the pump as well.
Karl designed that duct, I believe.
Oh, it's a fantastic. Whoever did it did a really nice job on that. And this is basically just a stock Ender, Trunksy style hot end. I do they have the E3D Titan style drive on this one, right? The Creality has not mine doesn't, but yours does. Has the red dual drive metal gear extruder.
That's right. We'll talk about what yours has a little bit later.
So from a quality perspective, it's built with off-the-shelf components. Unfortunately, that kind of lets it down a little bit, and then they use some of the off-the-shelf components to create the structure. Though in this configuration, they don't do that job. It's a little weaker. Now, granted, I've talked to these guys. I've discussed this at length with them, and they are going to, fix it. We actually discussed various techniques to take care of that. But right now, this early beta, and I have to say, this is an early machine. This is not what they're probably even shipping as test units today.
So before you go on, I want to make it absolutely clear that in email, iFactory told me what the box I got was 95% complete.
Yeah, and that's about right. There's about
Okay.
5 issues. Not really issues. I would recommend about 5 or less percent changes to it to make it the absolute machine that they want it to be. Right.
So if we consider this one an early beta or an early pre-production unit, then I believe you've said it has 3D printed parts on it, correct?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I don't find any fault with the 3D printed components. They're basically like the angled structures at the bottom here. They actually have other plates that are on top of it. On this model, they're acrylic. On their later models, they're not acrylic. They're much stronger. So I did see that. There's no gussets at the top, and they're adding those to stiffen that structure at the top, which is definitely needed on this. Consider this. The Creality is a 20 by 40 frame, and the iFactory is a 20 by 20 aluminum extrusion, right?
Okay.
It's also bigger. You can see it's physically taller, but it's also physically wider. It's about 25% larger width-wise, okay? And that large,
really? 20%?
Yeah. So
okay.
It's actually a much larger belt. You can see how much wider this belt is on here. So this has a huge build volume advantage over this guy. And I say huge, 20%. I mean, it's still pretty good, right?
Oh yeah. Well, but the build areas of these essentially it's the X and how tall it could go, because people are thinking of either repeatable things or cosplay elements. And well, like on Karl's White Knight, he did the Thanos sword full size, and I know that
It's a much bigger machine.
Absolutely. And so we wouldn't be able to do that on the CR-30 or the iFactory machine. I'm just as an example.
Right, but I mean, when you think about that, when you're targeting the design of the machine, you're going to pick the size target of product that you want to build, and you'll optimize the machine around that, right? And that gets you into maybe the 80% column over here, but it gets you well up into the 90% column of target products that you want to build, right? And of course, Karl's machine is the 100%. Who's going to want a bigger machine than his, right? Actually, I could think of somebody that does, but.
So one of the things though that we talked about, and it happened while we were actually having a video conversation, is the motor mounts on the iFactory on that machine are acrylic, correct?
Yeah.
And you accidentally put your hand on one a little too hard, and it snapped while we were having a video conversation.
Yeah. So it's a Core XY system. So here you can see the motors at the top of it, very important up here, and the Creality actually has the motors mounted underneath, and they're in a metal. They're mounted to a metal bracket, right?
Oh, right. There's a metal bracket, and there's a few different screws from a few different angles. Yeah.
Right. It's got an adjuster that you can just turn a screw, and it'll adjust the tension on that.
That's right.
This early model of the iFactory doesn't have that. It actually just has a piece of acrylic that the motor is mounted to. Now, I do know for a fact they're changing that material to, I don't know if it's going to be metal or they have some other magic material on here. It is a very, very strong plastic of some sort.
Is it called unobtainium?
Yeah, it's only available in Germany, apparently. But I do know that they are making that in-house there. And so they are going to be modifying, those mounts. So whoever buys this machine won't get this acrylic one. Like I said,
so Darren in the chat is saying he thinks it's palm. Does that sound right?
You know what? They could not translate exactly what the material is for me. It's very, very slick. I would say it's actually a hybrid of a couple of materials, including palm. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's at least what's on my machine. It has a very oily surface on it, which is really interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have to take a moment here just to address the chat, because we got into a bit of a bidding war. We had the Project R3D chat, and then Loyal came in and said, "Hi, Bill," and "Hi, Joel. Just thanks for taking the time to do this." Project R3D had to beat Loyal because that's just what he does. And then Loyal just had to come in and drop the mic.
Oh,
So Bill, obviously you're with me on this stream. My treat, steak dinner next time we're together, which hopefully is next year.
hopefully. Dana's on chat somewhere out there. I don't know if she's actually chatting.
She? Hi, Dana.
So,
Okay, so I think it's pretty decent to say that while the CR30 is more stable, it's the iFactory is still in a much earlier stage and has the ability to pivot to a more robust sort of frame system. Does that sound about right?
And like I said, it won't take much at all to get there. So it's an easy transition for them to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we talked about the frame and the sturdiness. We've talked about the extrusion system. We've talked about the core XY mechanism. Is there any? I only have experience with what's on the CR30, but how is the motion system on the iFactory? Did they?
It's a core XY just like the CR30 is.
Okay.
It has a couple of minor differences. One of the things I really love about the iFactory is that it has all metal rails and all metal rollers on it. So as opposed to the plastic wheels on the CR30, which are again off the shelf items from Creality, right?
Right. But wait. The iFactory has rails?
It's all metal. Their roller, it's a configuration very similar to the Creality, except instead of having plastic wheels, they have steel rollers. Think about a train on the track, right?
Okay, so steel rollers kind of with an angle going over.
It's the opposite. What's interesting is the front, it actually has round steel rods. Okay, and the wheels are actually curved to fit around that rod. You know, kind of like this. So the wheels are turning this way, and they wrap around those steel rods.
Okay, do you like that?
Wonderful design. It will never wear out. So,
well, that's okay. Well, I mean, just as a mention, so then on mine, I did have the fur developing on the wheels, and I wasn't sure exactly what caused that. Someone said it could be that they were too tight, but once I cleared it off, it was fine, and it doesn't happen again.
So on the Creality ones, those palm wheels will actually abrade the surface of it a little bit.
Okay.
And that'll collect on those wheels as that gray dust that you see on the.
Yeah. Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah. As soon as you relieve that pressure on that wheel by wearing it in, it won't make any more, right? So it's basically worn itself to fit. Not a problem. It doesn't look really good, but
yeah,
it doesn't.
I get it. It doesn't hurt though.
But you won't find it on that machine because there's no plastic at all in that system. Now, the other difference in the Core XY though is to me that since this is a much bigger machine, it should actually have bigger belts on it than it does.
Really? What does it have
currently? It's got GT2 6mm belts, and they're Chinesium made. Where this guy right here has 10mm gates, 2 GT.
Yeah.
They are the best belts in the world, right? They're German.
I mean, yeah.
That machine. If it's German, it should be there. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I highly recommend that they switch to that because it's so big. There's a lot of flex in those belts, and I think that's what I was actually demonstrating to you when I broke that motor mount.
Yes. Well, other than breaking the mount, yes, you did demonstrate. Yeah, the flex in the belts. Yeah, these are good belts here. These
look at them. They're actually Gates branded belts. So
they feel properly sized.
Yeah,
I think if there was a smaller belt on here, it wouldn't look, I don't think, as proper. We do have to address something though. Lasanglier Kiri or Matthew, the printer's literally right there. How about a close up? Is there any chance we could get a close up of the iFactory machine?
I can pick up the computer and move it over to the phone or over to the. How about I do that?
If it's not going to break anything, let's see what we can do.
Just unplugging my power here.
Uh-oh. Here, I'm going to make you full screen. You're going to get the full bill.
So, yeah. So you can see they have their nice little scraper plate. It has their name on it. The electronics are a touch screen on this. So you can see that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So it's still a Marlin base, which is not bad. And don't recall what electronics in here. They're Chomsky electronics, but I don't know if they're 32-bit or 8-bit. I can't. Well, that's a big honking chip. That's a 32-bit chip in there. So both machines are 32 bits.
Okay. Is it
So
a touchscreen?
It is. The Creality is not. This is.
Okay.
It's a color touchscreen. So they have options there.
Ooh.
Of course, now remember, this is an early machine, and it does not have their Raspberry Pi set up, right? So they have their Raspberry Pi that's going to go in this place with the color touchscreen, and their basically they've got a spaghetti detective-like product that's going to be built into this machine.
That's right. I've heard they're introducing their own little AI sort of thing.
Right. It'll monitor the print and look for failures and automatically stop the print and continue and start a new one. Right.
Okay. So I would imagine if they have their own slicer, the slicer can then output some sort of, or the AI can read the model that's expected to be there and then stop if it senses any deviations. Right.
Exactly. Yep. So the other beautiful thing that these guys did is they actually have a drive on the front and on the rear. This is the proper way of doing it, right?
Okay.
If you think about it, they originally had it on theirs, but they switched back to putting it on the rear. Now, with this one, it's got so much tension on it, it's not really an issue. I mean, it twangs when you tap it, right? It's got so much tension, that's good.
Yes.
This one, with the drive on the front, if you think about this, the drive on the front will pull tension out of the top, and it will add any tension that any excess belt, if you will, is going to go to the bottom. They have a beautiful tensioning system on this. In addition to having the motor pull the tension out from the front, they have this. You can see this little roller right here. There's actually a rod underneath of that actually snaps into a component there that forces the down on the belt. Okay. And by forcing it on the belt, you're taking all the tension out with a spring mechanism. So that's
I see.
That's a really good way of doing that, and it's a reliable way of doing it. So that's a good design there.
So that's going to provide constant tension and make sure that the entirety of the belt is across the build plate.
Right. Even if something gives up a little bit and starts to relieve the stress, the relief of pressure on it, like this build plate is spring loaded, right? If something gives up on it, that's going to compensate for it and going to take that out for a while. So that's a really good way to keep a reliable belt tension.
That's really cool.
But like I said, they actually have two motors, right? They've got not just one on the front, but they got one on the back too. So they've got a lot of torque here available to drive that belt.
Hey, Bill, while I got you real quick, someone's asking, what do we think of the eCube Maker Toy DIY 4-in-1? Have you heard about that one?
I've never even heard of it.
I don't know much about it either, unfortunately. If someone knows and you're watching and you can leave a comment to Mark, that would help. And then Loyal is telling you to take the Prusa Mini off the floor, Bill.
That's my baby. That's a great little machine right there. You can see it's got 4 colors on it.
No, look at that. And we'll get to that on the Creality machine as well.
Oh, yeah.
Give me if you could move the laptop around. And if you could move the laptop around and just show me the rollers. Someone did have a question and wanted to see those rollers.
Here you can see the steel rod that's embedded into this linear rail. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to make it big again. There we go.
There, you can see that steel rod.
Oh, I see.
Sides, right? And then the drive system is all steel. This is all machined steel, right? And there you can see those steel rollers.
Oh, I see them. Oh, and they're curved to go over.
They're curved.
Oh, okay.
And they have these adjustments on them, right? So this is how you tension it. You can loosen these, turn it, and tension it. It's eccentric style, right?
Yep.
Here you can see those GT2 belts.
Yeah, they look so tiny for that motion system.
I mean, it's a big machine. It's surprisingly big for what we're thinking of, right? So
yeah.
The hot end.
One other thing though, on those wheels though, on the big printer that I have in my garage, it's very similar. The motion system is very similar. It's a screw drive via servo, I believe, but they have the concave wheels going over metal. They use angled metal rather than a curved piece right there to go over it. But very similar. It seems to work great.
Yeah. So this is if you think about it, what they've done is they've taken an off-the-shelf rod and driven it down into this extrusion. The black part is in an aluminum extrusion.
Okay, so it's married to it. It's a permanent part.
Yep. Yeah, it's
cool.
It's in there very nicely. So they have a steel rail, and everything is riding on steel, right? It's a train on train tracks. Think about it that way. There's nothing more reliable than that right there from a low friction standpoint, from a high quality, long lasting standpoint, right? Can take a lot of load.
So it's interesting though that they chose that method for the motion system, but then they put the acrylic as a way of holding the motors.
Well, so again, this is the heritage of the machine, right? This was based.
Oh, is it? Okay, so the Tronxy machine actually has a Core XY system with acrylic motor mounts?
And they basically took the off-the-shelf Core XY system, the same way that Creality did from their machine, right?
Okay.
And basically applied it to here. Here's where I was talking about where that joint is a little weak right here. They really need some structure in between these three pieces. There's in this model, there's only one screw right here that holds this to this rail here. And then this rail that's across the top is only held to this by this one corner bracket. It's only held to here. There's no attachment between here and here. And you can actually and rotate that if you put a little force on it, you can rotate that whole rail.
But then in order to sturdy that up, they just need another bracket holding it from another way.
Yeah, they're going to put a gusset in between here.
Okay.
So, and I recommend a gusset there and a gusset here, and that'll take care of that problem without issues. And the nice thing is if they put the gusset here, they can make that their motor mount, right? So it's all one unit.
Did you tell them that?
I did, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, honestly.
Cable chain, fantastic idea. No cable chain, bad idea.
Well, Naomi actually said in the comments, she said that she's doing everything she can to convince Creality to use a cable chain.
Yeah. So there is one minor little flaw with this on the cable chain, and that when I was running it, I had actually got caught on this roller one time. So it kind of drooped down. You can see that it droops down pretty low right there below the roller. See that?
Yeah.
So I would actually probably put some kind of a guard or something there, or something a little tougher. Maybe even take this chain and tie it here, so you have one chain from here to here, and then one chain from here to up to the top here, right? So that way it's not drooping. Right now it's kind of drooping, and it really shouldn't be set up that way.
Carl in the chat did say that cable chains aren't meant to hang, and I fully understand that. But it looks like there's something simple they can do just to kind of get it out of the way.
Yep. So, and then what I did to fix it is I just tied the PTFE tube to it. That's actually given it enough force that when it comes down here, this length of tube actually forces this back up. So.
Really? Oh, that's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, just one cost of one single zip tie.
Bill, too much. So listen, we've kind of I'm going to get you back to full here. So we dove into the sturdiness of the machines and how well they're built, whether or not we can stand on them. And we've also talked about the extrusion system and the motion system. I think what we need to do really is dive into the belts and the belt system on this, because I know that they're very different. So let's start with the CR-30 because that's what I'm familiar with.
So I don't know if you have the new belt.
I do, and I just haven't put it on yet.
Oh, okay. Fantastic belt. It's a plastic material, some sort, woven fabric inside of it. Very, very tight. You can hear that twanging. That's incredibly tight. They have a very...
You're playing a guitar right there.
Yeah. It has a green base on the bottom of it, so obviously this is a very commodity item here. So probably would just die on the top. It does.
Well, I know that Naomi has said publicly that Creality switched to that belt because it was something they could get a lot of over time. So it makes sense.
And it's a really, really good choice. I mean, you can see even this one little stick. And now what I did, it's stuck perfectly, right?
Okay.
What I did, this is a single print from that guy. And
wow,
it literally starts out as a single point, right?
Yeah, it does.
And then it continues on. You can see the texture on the bottom there if I can get the light just right.
Oh yeah. So I know because I have the old belt, and obviously it produces a very unique texture on the bottom of prints. So the new belt still any any bed material, whether it's a belt or whatever, is going to put some sort of texture on the bottom.
Yep.
The old belt was very similar to like golf ball dimples.
Yeah.
And so this one, what is this one like?
This is a very fine fabric. I would say that the dimples on it are there is a rubber texture.
Some, but it's not as apparent. As,
no, not anywhere near. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is this belt right here is actually closer to the belt that you had. It has a texture on it, and here you can see the texture from it. See how much more.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So.
Okay, so then as far as the
very cloth-like feel.
The Creality system it's a 3-to-1 gear on Z to drive the belt.
Right.
Is it similar on the iFactory?
Yeah, exactly. So the same setup here. Actually, I take that back. There is a difference. This is a 3-to-1 direct drive. The Creality actually has a geared motor. It's a geared motor stepped up, and then there's a 3-to-1 drive on it. So this has a higher torque, but they compensate with 2 motors, right? So.
Okay. Let's see. The rollers for the belt are on the Creality machine is it's a rubbery sort of material.
So yeah,
it's
a steel roller that's actually coated, and these are just steel rollers by themselves. So they're not coated, but with enough tension on this, and make sure. By the way, if you're building this as a kit, at least on mine, I actually had to scrub these down with alcohol to remove the machining oil that was on them. Because when I put it together, they slipped. So I took it all apart. I scrubbed them down with IPA, and that cleaned off the machining oil. That now it grips this belt just fine. So,
it does. Okay, so because I remember we talked about there being some slippage before in the belt system, but when you took it with the IPA to get the machine oil off, no problems now.
I've not had any slipping at all. In fact, neither one of these machines. There's no concept of slipping when you're using it. So
that's great.
Yep. They both run the belt at roughly the same speeds, the same performance. In fact, I do these 2 prints, this black one and the yellow one. This is the exact same G code on these 2 machines, and they produce nearly identical results.
Okay.
So the only thing I changed.
Wait. Identical G code.
Yes, I took the G code, I sliced it for the Creality, and I modified it to support the homing routine on this, which is this one homes at the top. The Creality homes at the bottom. That's the only difference.
Oh wait, and that's it. Otherwise, the same.
No other changes.
That's great, right?
Yep.
And look, iFactory just said they are actually cleaning the machine oil off the rods by themselves now.
Sweet, great. They finished literally 1 minute apart from each other. So.
One of the differences, though, in the belt system, Creality has a heated build plate here, and then they've got a cool down zone here.
Right.
iFactory looks to have a repurposed standard build plate that the rollers go over.
Right. So their heated build plate comes all the way to the edge, and that is something I recommend to change. This machine is not the machine for that. The way they repurpose parts, I don't know that it's. I mean, they might be able to do something with a new hot plate. But I don't know what their plans are. I highly recommend they do change that, because that's the only difference between these two from a performance perspective, is that here is the Creality one, and you can see.
Here, let me make you big here. That looks very good.
Straight to the end.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this is the. Right. See how that curved?
And that's because it doesn't have a chance to cool down.
It doesn't have a chance to solidify and cool down, right? So the part comes right to the edge. So in this one, I actually had a failure earlier today, which is kind of interesting. The whole part wrapped around and it tried to get drug down inside of this blade. So,
oh no!
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, because that's actually the first time I'd seen that. This will normally come off with no problem.
Okay.
The interesting thing is there is a way to tackle it on here, so it isn't necessarily all bad. I wouldn't say it's all bad at all, but there is a way to solve it here, and that's to not print as fast so that this leading edge peels a little slower, because there is, an inch or so before, the build plate ends before it actually gets here. I'll say half an inch, I should say, right? 2 centimeters, something like that. That you do have a chance to cool. I mean, there's no heat at this edge here, and there's heat just, a centimeter behind it. You can feel that difference, right?
Wow.
So it's a very short transition, but there's definitely a transition there. And if you tweak your G code just right, you can actually get that to start peeling just fine, right? And again, if you have a solid part, you're not going to run into that issue. It's simply because this part was so fine at the tip, right?
Right. But I mean, it just needs a slight change. There just needs to be a longer area for a part to cool down at the end in order to mitigate any sort of heat still in the part, right?
Yeah. And I would actually say, I won't say it on this machine, but on Rev 2 of this machine, maybe they do that, but I would also move this zone back farther. I would prefer to see the heated zone underneath the extruder, past it, right? So that it always prints on a heated area, because this one right now is actually printing right at the very edge of the build plate. And many things to
I see what you're saying.
Right? That angle. Our machines, we encountered that long ago with this machine, where the nozzle, we had to reposition the whole system here to get it to be underneath the nozzle there, so that we're always printing on the build plate.
Yeah.
You don't want to print off the heated zone. You want it to be heated.
That makes sense.
This one is on that, but it's at the very edge of it, and there's not much you can do to fix that, because these rollers run right into this metal rail if you go back any further. So
I mean, there are various ways that they can do, but it's going to require some rework of the machine's
the easiest way is
right?
a different bearing for this. That's all that is.
Really?
It's just the mount. These front corner mounts. It's just a minor modification to that, or it's a very easy fix for them.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, that's great. I love that it's the same G code, right? I love that.
Exactly the same G code. That's
good.
Now there is a change in that I had I take that back. There's no change in the G code. I changed this machine's steps per millimeter on the extruder, because it's using this poking up here as opposed to their good factory one. But
I get it. Well, okay, so we've talked about.
I will have one of those on here as well. So
that's what I want to get to. So we've talked about the sturdiness of the machine and the build quality. We've talked about the motion system. We've talked about the extrusion. We've talked about the belt system. Really, at this point, well, before we get into 3D Chameleon, let's just take a look back, pull back a little bit. Let's just see both machines. So, Bill, with a person with your experience, right? I'm not going to tell you which one. I'm not going to say which one's the better one, but I'm going to ask you a targeted question and say, who is the consumer for the CR-30 versus who is the consumer for the iFactory1?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't thought of.
Well, okay. CR-30 comes mostly assembled, right?
Yeah. The CR-30 is again, yeah, you're right. It's mostly assembled, and it isn't going to have as many snafus as this machine will, as it is, right? Because this is a kit.
Okay.
And if you think about the Prusa Mark III, you can get it kit or you can get it pre-assembled.
Yeah.
Prusa saves so much money on support by doing the pre-assembled version. That's the kit, right? I mean, back in the day, that was why Bree quit selling kits, right?
Yeah.
MakerBot, right? Because the support costs were so much higher. This is the hobbyist machine for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Because there's so much work you have to do to build the machine, and I say so much work. You can build it in a day, no problem.
Well, wait. You could build it in a day.
Anybody can build it in a day by following their instructions. Getting it dialed in might take a little longer.
Okay.
That's where the experience of knowing what it is, being a hobbyist, or having the ability to experiment with it, you're going to learn an awful lot by doing it. Okay. This machine, you're not going to learn anything on because you can pull this machine out and literally in 15 minutes be printing a part.
Okay. So then the Creality machine is the fully assembled workhorse that's easier to get up and going, and the iFactory is the, for lack of a better term, the cheap Chinese clone.
I wouldn't say it's a cheap Chinese clone. I mean, it's got some very good concepts in it. It's a very good machine. Don't get me wrong, right? If I build a Prusa the right way, it's going to perform just as good as a good machine, and it's a kit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
If I build it the wrong way, it's going to perform poorly. You're not going to have that experience here because you're not building it, right?
Right. Right.
So that's the difference that I'm saying. This machine has a much larger build volume than this. Okay, I mean, like I said, it's 20% larger.
20%, yeah.
Easily that. And if you're an experienced printer, user, and you want to experiment with belt printers, this is a fantastic machine to do that. Okay.
Okay.
This machine right here is going to be a typical Creality, experience. You open it up, you throw it together, and you start printing. It is going to work, right?
Okay. Well, and I want to make sure, because I know people are in the comment. Again, lack of better terms. What I meant by cheap Chinese clone in that it's something, all the parts are there. You just have to put in the work to get it going. Right.
Now, again, they have options for, I think it was 80% pre-built.
Okay.
I guess, I don't know if they're doing the 100% pre-built or not. I would highly recommend that.
80% would be the CR-30 because it arrived with the motion system, the two supports. And
the CR-30 was probably closer to 95%. Right?
Okay.
Because there's 12 bolts that you put together to put this together. There's 12 screws, right? This one there's 300. So.
But still, with proper time and skill, you can put all those 300 screws together and get yourself a really good product.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Especially if they go ahead and do those changes that I recommended and others recommend to them. I mean, like I said, this has none of those changes on it, and it's still producing the same quality as this.
Right. I think there's something to be said for that, too.
Yeah, there absolutely is. It's a fantastic machine, just like this one is. They both have the same flaws in their prints. Again, admittedly, this one actually has the issue with the cooling at the very end. But again, a software tweak, an experienced user will recognize that and know how to deal with that, right?
That's right.
This one hides that from you. This has all of Karl's and mine and everybody else's experience built into it from the get-go, right? They did not have that luxury. So that's the difference.
I see.
If they had somebody like Karl, working on this machine the way he worked on this machine,
it would be a different story altogether.
Totally, yeah.
Okay. Well, now they have a bill working on it, though.
Yeah.
And it looks like they have some good ideas, though. And it looks like...
they have a lot of great ideas, yeah.
It looks like if they can ship their Kickstarter, then it looks like what they're going to give their backers is of a much higher quality product thanks to some feedback.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. And like I said, it will produce equally as good a part as this machine, right? So.
Well, same G code, man. That's brilliant. I love, other than the homing.
You know what? Let me go ahead and clean this up and put these together and let them duel out real quick here while we're
I would love to hear that because we still have to talk about 3D Chameleon and what multicolor printing is.
Let me. So they were complaining about my other printers on the floor. See my
now you got to take these prototypes, these pieces of history, and you're just going to throw them on the floor.
Yeah.
It looks like you have a typical conference room table.
It is. This is my conference room, and I have them, just laying around here for now. But there's no place angled there. So.
Look at that. It's beautiful. There we go.
Oh.
It's still plugged in, Bill.
Oh. You know what? It's still in.
I'm glad that happened live.
All right. So here we're going to.
Well, while you're getting it going, I'll tell you what, I'll set it up. So I forget who it was on Twitter, but someone suggested you put two belt printers together and then they joust to see what happens. I had that idea as well. I'm sure others did as well, including Bill. And so he designed in Tinkercad. Is that correct, Bill?
Yep. All of 3 minutes worth of effort there.
3 minutes in Tinkercad, and they each have jousting spears or jousting swords, or what are they called?
Yeah, they're called jousting swords. Yeah, that'll work.
Sure, jousting swords, sure. And each one printed at about the same rate, like he said. And so what he's going to do now is put them head to head, and they're going to joust. We're going to have a 3D print, a belt-style 3D printer joust live right here.
So,
Lances, thank you. Everybody's like, they're lances. Lances. Who was the first one to say it? Let's see. It was. I got to give credit where credit's due. So it was dad joke Brian Vines. He did say he was the first one. That alligator, though, I gotta tell you. So Loyal said he'll give you $50 for the alligator. Loyal, I'll just print you one on this machine. How about that?
now you got to do better than 15.
I have to what?
He's got to do better than 15. This took days to print.
Days?
Days. Look at that quality.
Here, I'm going to make your screen big. Here, let's take a look. This was pre-sliced G-code. This was using Inland PLA.
Yeah.
And this was the CR-30, correct?
See this flaw right there?
Was that a power outage?
That was my my failed tool change or filament change. I ran out of filament on it.
Aw.
That was the power failure.
There we go.
So that was the power fail resume. And I mean, it's only visible just a little bit. There's not much there, but everywhere else.
Still, it looks like a really good print.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They did. This is a really. And people wanted to know about what's the tip. How does it start? There's the start of it. You can see it's actually printed on supports, and this is where I removed the supports right there.
Okay, and thanks for showing us your tip.
That's the start of it. Starts from the tail, and then ends up at the mouth.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
$4.99, Chris. Are you out of your mind? Hold on. There it is. $4.99. Do we know how much the iFactory will retail for? I believe it's a little bit more expensive than the CR-30.
That depends.
I've got the links for the Kickstarter and I have the Kickstarter CR-30 and the Kickstarter iFactory link in the description. You can click those and then.
So that depends on where you're at though with that, right? The pricing is going to be dependent again with VAT. The iFactory will not have VAT in Europe, I guess. I believe that's the case. But the Creality will have the VAT, right?
Yeah, so I think so.
Price is about the same. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do that. But,
I don't know either. I am not the shipping and logistics nerd. So I don't know too much about that.
So I'm going to raise the temperature of this machine. This is I noticed a software change difference between the two. They're almost the same version of Marlin. But the pause on this one and the pause on this one are two totally different things. This one actually moves the head off of the part.
Right.
Factory does not. You can still see it stuck on the part there. So I turned the heater off on this one. I just let that one go. And I'm going to turn the heater back up on this.
Okay. And then get that laptop closer because everybody's going to want to see in excruciating detail 3D belt printer dueling. This is exciting. Well, hey, everybody who's watching at this point, take a moment, take a sip of something tasty because you deserve it. Again, we have to be mindful of our hydration and our caffeination. And Dave from Printed Solid is doing the same thing for this stream as others. If we get 500 likes, he will give away 5 spools of filament. 1,000 likes, 10 spools. 1,500 likes, 15 spools. Link is in the description. Click that and enter. And then if we hit a milestone, we'll do a drawing at the end of the stream. Bam, bam, bam.
So this one has a purge function on it. Before you start back up, you purge the filament again. So it's kind of like a color change.
Yep.
And now I can hit resume. Let's see if it resumes. Look at that.
It should. If you don't get me a better camera angle, Bill, people are going to kill me.
I'm going to get you one, but I can't walk that far. And I do this one too. All right, we're at temperature. Resume print.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So that one, I just heard it jump on something. Probably the bump that was. Yeah, that's what it was. It was the bump where it cold paused.
Oh, okay.
But it has resumed.
Now, what speeds are these printing at, Bill?
They are printed at 100 millimeters per second. That was the slice.
Okay.
But accelerations of their machines are going to dictate what they actually print at, right?
I think so.
The yellow, and you can actually see the flaw in that one as well. They both have the exact same flaw in about the exact same spot. So, so that's something that we're going to have to work on, is the cold pause features of these printers.
Okay. But really, I mean, as far as something to work on, that's great. I mean, yes. but I don't think that's, I mean, if it doesn't work right now, I think that's fine. That's software, right?
That is software, yeah. So we'll blame that on Marlin guys.
So for speed, though, what's our estimated time of dual? How long do you think it'll take to get there?
Probably a total of 30 minutes.
30 minutes? You're killing me.
Yeah.
That's fine. It just means that we can take some questions. So are you cool with that, Bill?
Certainly.
Some questions? Fantastic. Obviously, I'm going to do my best to look in the chat, but at this point, we've actually talked a lot about the CR-30, and we've talked a lot about the iFactory 1, both incredibly capable machines, both with a similar background, but both with a slightly different implementation. And it looks like with what Bill is able to tell the iFactory team, they're able to sturdy up their printer a bit. And my guess is, same with the CR-30, whatever backers get, it's going to be a little bit or a lot bit different than what Bill and I have in front of us. So the CR-30 and the iFactory 1 are set up to dual right now. It's going to take roughly 30 minutes to get there. It means we have time for a Q&A. Don't forget to hit like so we can do a drawing at the end. But if anybody has questions, specific questions about CR-30 or the iFactory 1, now would be the time to ask it. And I'll see if I can't pick out some good ones from the chat. This is a perfect one to start with. How long do you expect the belts to last?
That is a really good question. To be honest with you, I have thousands of prints probably total on these belts without any degradation of the belt material itself. On both of them, I can see ghosts of the previous prints. And
you can see ghosts on both.
Oh yeah,
okay.
You can see it on the silver, and you can see it on the. And this is a silver belt. This is a black belt.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there? But no, there's been no performance degradation that I've seen on either one of these belts. They were both fantastic choices. So I do not know what the cost of this belt is on the iFactory. They did say replacements will be available. I know on the Creality, the belt on the Kickstarter is $40, but my understanding is it'll be $80 or something like that. Naomi can correct us when she gets there. That the replacement belt will be.
Okay.
To be honest with you, if that is if the performance I'm seeing off either one of these belts, you might actually be looking at a year or more before you have to replace those belts.
I would assume, and that's with like consistent printing 24/7.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and literally that's all I've been doing with these machines since I got them. They have not stopped printing.
Well, until you started the stream, I mean.
Well, yeah, I paused them for the stream. That was it. But I've printed production parts for the 3D Chameleon on this machine to validate them. In fact, I did on both of them, and both of them produced identical quality parts. And I'm going to say they're not Prusa Mark III quality parts, right? But they're certainly high enough quality that we would ship with them.
Okay, that's saying a lot right
Yeah.
there. I mean, when you say it's not the quality of a known
And
constant.
nice quality, it isn't that the print is bad, it's that the geometry is bad. So remember when you're printing on an angled conveyor belt, right? You're actually printing it at a 45-degree angle.
Yep.
When we designed our parts, we initially designed them for a standard, Cartesian FDM. And the layering is important on some parts, like, for example, a bearing holder. You need to have the layers, and if we print them at a 45-degree angle, we kind of lose that strength feature of that, right? And that's the only downside that we have on this.
That's really not bad, though, if you consider it. If that being the downside, that's not bad.
You could certainly design the parts if they were designed for this environment, right? For this printing process.
Right.
Then they would easily be, the same quality as the other, right? But in our design, we didn't do that, right? So my bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's okay. Next question from Night Train. Send in a high five, by the way. Give him 5, Bill. Bill, give 5. There it is. Thank you. Does either printer have filament runoff, shut off, or pause print function? I think we demonstrated that both do. Okay.
Both printers do. Yep. So the filament runout sensor is right here and right here on both of them.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, you had to resume them, obviously, when we were going to be jousting again. So Matthias...
Power fail resume as well.
Matthias Much, with, I believe that's a Euro 549. Did you print PETG with these printers? I did PETG on mine, and it printed really well. Did you do PETG with yours?
All of our production printers, all of our production parts are PETG, so I ran that on both of them.
And no problems?
No issues whatsoever.
It seems like this belt, and I would assume the belt that you have on both machines, like part adhesion just isn't a problem. Is that true?
It really is not. A lot of people think it would be, but I can rub my hand on these. These parts are stuck. They're not coming off. So
I remember Teaching Tech on his CR-30, he had to put hairspray on it.
Yeah, and I saw him do that, but he did not calibrate his machine. And I tried chatting with him, and he did not, So
okay.
Yeah,
but you haven't had any issues with part adhesion on the bed.
I've not at all. In fact, it's too good in some cases. I can point you to this one right now. It's actually wrapping around the front, and I'm going to have to peel the front of this up to get it to not peel or get it to not wrap.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think that's fair.
Like I said, it might be too good in some cases, and I typically will back it up when I see that. They do have an interesting feature. They both support a baby step on the y-axis, which allows you to remove it from the build plate or raise up on the build plate. So,
oh, I see. I guess that would, yeah.
That's
I always have to think of, because it's not, it's why. It's
yeah, that's really something that's missing on both of these, and that's an auto leveling or auto bed detection feature. It's not really leveling. It's you're tramming the y-axis to the build plate so that you're right at the right. Neither one of them has a good solution for that. If you dial this machine in, it will stay exactly where you dial it in. This one, not necessarily as good as that because the springs on the build plate are a little bit too flexible. I think we need a much stiffer spring on that.
okay.
And now, with that said, my build plate, the components that were in the box were not the correct ones, and I had to come up with my own solution. I did use their springs and with a little plastic standoff on them just to get a little bit more tension. But this still isn't what you're going to get if you buy this machine. They'll fix that, and they were aware of that. They told me that right away. It's like, oh yeah, we forgot to do that on those. That's later kits have already resolved that.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that I'm glad to know though. I mean, it seems like they're actively solving these problems that you're coming against.
And the other guys on that I've seen with this machine haven't had that issue, so that's good. Like I said, I believe this is a very early machine.
How much is the design process going to have to change for 45-degree printing?
So whenever you're designing for a manufacturing process, it has its own specific rules, right? FDM has its own rules, but we're so used to it. The slicers do all that work for you We do know, though, that we have to have the parts oriented in such a way to get the proper supports. And generally on those, we would say straight up and down, right? On this machine, on this style of machine, even on my original machine, because it's an angled build plate, you still have the same problem. And that your supports are now angled to the build plate and not to gravity. We're so used to thinking about gravity when it comes to these machines. It's not. It's the build plate and the head orientation to each other that you have to angle the supports for, right?
Right.
So when you're designing a part, you need to take that into account. That if you want a part that's structural, kind of on a layer line, you're going to need to rotate that part 45 degrees to match that extrusion, right?
Oh yeah.
You see that? So if you have the ability to print the part in such a way, and I say not just print the part, but design the part so that those features are printed in that orientation, right? You don't necessarily have to rotate the whole part. Just rotate the features that you're interested in to get them to print it that, right? So it might be.
Okay.
When we build an object, here, let me grab one here. So if I'm building an object and I'm going to put a bearing on it.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it's better if I design it so that the bearing is in an angle, right? That way, when it's printing at that angle, it's actually creating the support structure for that. Think about these motor mounts, right? They're at an angle. So when we print the parts, if we printed these parts, we would want this part printed at an angle, and we might have a flat base on the bottom to do that. There's just all kinds of little things that you're going to do to tweak it, if you will, to get that support and strength where you need it.
Right.
The rules don't change for the material. The rules change for the manufacturing process.
Yes, that's very true. But one of the things that I think it was Karl, I think, he said, or someone said, that when slicing, you do the infill first, and then you do the perimeters.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So when we're designing a part, we're slicing it normally, right? I mean, when we're printing a part, we slice it normally.
Oh, is the iFactory print going under, Bill?
It's actually hitting the top plate here. So
okay.
It's curved a little bit, but it's hitting the top plate. So the Creality one is coming straight off. And again, that's a function of the cooling.
Yep.
So this is, if I slowed this down, it would work. But
well, can you just turn off the heat on the bed?
You know what? I haven't actually tried that, but that's a great idea. I think we'll get part adhesion, right?
I just want to take a moment and revel in the fact that you said I had a great idea. Okay, feels good. Because if it's heated and it's now just hitting the little plate at the end to kind of get it off, then our tips aren't gonna joust, are they?
Right. So to make this fair competition, I'm going to turn the heat off on this one too.
Ooh, okay. See, my idea for belt printer jousting is getting the I-beam that's on the CR-30 and get that going on the iFactory, because then you've got these flat surfaces going to each other. And what happens when they meet? Do they pop off, or do they?
That was initially what I was thinking of, but somebody said joust. So
yeah. Well, are you so and Gordon did tell me way to go. So thank you, Gordon. I appreciate that. The iFactory, originally you were going to assemble, do some stuff, and then send it to me to feature on my show. Is that still the case, or?
Yeah.
Will that survive shipping?
I believe it will. Yeah. It would be, if possible, it would be nice if they could send me the upgrade parts.
Okay.
I don't know if they can do that yet, but if they can send me the upgrade parts, I'll definitely upgrade it for you and get it on there. And then, this silly single color extruders thing, I'd get rid of that too.
So let's, okay, you're handling the jousting part quite well, and I think it might be fun to talk about the 3D Chameleon, because when people think about palette and MMU, there's the 3D Chameleon, which isn't as popular. Can you? Right. What is the 3D Chameleon, and how does it work? I think is the best introduction for that.
Let me grab a little machine here and show you. So
Hey, look.
people were
Here, I'm
wondering.
gonna make you. There we go. Go for it, Bill.
So the 3D Chameleon is a 4-into-1, basically an extruder for your printer. So in this case, we have the Prusa Mini, and we have the Chameleon installed on it here. So it is a 4-color changing extruder. So you feed 4 filaments into here, and if you can see the holes there you go. Feed the 4 colors into there, and it drives them into the hot end and selects which one it wants to drive. So we have 2 motors. One is actually selecting which color to drive, and the other one is actually driving it. In this case, the Prusa stock motor is actually being used to drive it. It has ability to actually select the color by pressing this switch right here. So that's actually a limit switch that we put on the y-axis. And you just bring this all the way to the front using G-code, and that at the very first, the very end 1 millimeter is used to trigger that switch. I don't know if you can hear that.
Wow.
Right? It's just 1 millimeter travel that you're losing to get that to trigger. And that's talking to our electronics, which are installed right here. And then it's actually driving the motor for the selector. So the idea here is that we have a MMU style. You know, Prusa came out with their MMU. There was a 5-color. The original one was a 4-color. Think about this as a combination of their 2 units in a very compact design. It's literally just
very compact. Wow.
Yeah. It's also universal. Because we have our own electronics, it can actually be mounted to any printer. So as an example, here it is mounted to the CR-30, right? So this is the Chameleon extruder. The electronics, you can just barely see the top corner of them right here. And the limit is right here.
There.
So on this one, we do the same thing. The y-axis comes up, and the very top 1 millimeter triggers the color change. And you communicate with this by a coded sequence of button presses to the electronics, right? And
it's like Morse code.
Yeah, a little more complex than Morse code, but it's base 4 language instead of a base 2. But yeah. So let me grab a power cable here, and I'll plug it in and show you.
While you're doing that, so my buddy Loyal, he wants to know if he can buy that Mini from you with the 3D Chameleon on it.
So he can buy the 3D Chameleon and he can buy a Mini. So the answer is yes.
I think he wants you to build it for him.
Oh.
You'll talk offline. How about that?
Yeah, well, let's figure that out. So I'm going to turn this on.
Okay.
On, so you can see the green light on inside of there. And what's cool about this is the way it selects the colors is it uses, you can see these 2 bearings here, but there's actually 2 more on the other side of this cam. So the silver motor that you see here, black and silver, it's actually driving a cam system that moves these 2 selectors in and out. And the idea is that we have a bearing in the drive gear, and we're moving it like this, right? So
makes sense.
Thumb and finger are bearings. My index finger here is a drive bearing, or drive gear on the motor. And so the cam drives it one way to engage one side and the other way to engage the other side. And we have 2 of those stacked on top of each other. So that's what gives us our 4 colors.
Oh, that makes sense. So
now, again, like I said, the way you communicate with it is by pressing this switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to home it, and you'll see those move. So you heard that noise. That's a hard mechanical stop homing. And now every time I press it for a quarter of a second, it will advance 1 color. And then if I press it one more time for a quarter second, it'll go back to the first color. And that's it. I mean, by pressing it a quarter of a second at a time, you can change the color.
That's so cool.
So now this particular configuration is the Bowden tube configuration. So it's feeding in directly into the hot end. But we also have the direct drive configuration, which is what you would find on the Big Brother, right?
There it is.
Mark III.
Here we go. We'll get you big again.
So on this guy, we have our Chameleon at the top, and you'll notice we have two of our motors on it because they're both driving ours. And then this motor here, instead of using the stock electronics extruder motor, we're using our motor to load the filament into the stock hot end here.
Oh, I see.
So we load and unload that way.
So
And
then the extruder and the other motor operate in sync.
That's right. So only temporarily, though. It's only during loading. When it's done loading, we then let go, and it pulls it in just exactly the same way the MMU does.
Oh
right?
my! Oh, that's perfect.
So, and now let me plug this in here. Okay, so now we have power. We'll home it, and you can see here as I press it a quarter of a second, it changes each time. Right?
Oh, I see it.
But let's do one other little trick thing here. Let's just take some filament and load it in here.
You're a wizard, Bill.
It's a lot of fun developing this.
How are we doing on the prints, by the way?
We've still got 3 inches or 4 inches to go.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is just load the filament into here. And we'll go ahead and unplug that tube so you can see it. Actually, we'll unplug it from the printer. Oh, in fact, I'll make it even easier.
I just, Corey Dork Aquariums. Bill would go to Hogwarts.
Slytherin.
Ooh. Ooh, Jeremiah's asking, PVA on the 3D Chameleon, is that possible?
Yes.
I figured it was.
So actually, we do not change the capabilities of your machine. So if you can print whatever material on it already, you'll still be able to do that. So here I have the filament loaded in here. And you know what? It's actually better demonstration if I load 2 filaments.
I think so. Make sure we don't miss that. Make sure we don't miss the jousting.
We're good. We're plenty distance.
I figured. I'm just giving you crap.
So if I do this, I pull the blue out.
Yep.
And I plug the yellow in. Right. So I can pull the blue out or yellow out and plug the blue in. Okay, no problem. Right. How do we get the printer to do that though? That's the cool part. This is where we press the button. All I'm going to do is press the button. There will be no other interaction except me pressing the command button.
Okay.
Now, blue is loaded, but it's not, the extruder doesn't have it selected. So let's hold it for 1 second to reset it. Right now, blue is selected. So if I command it, let's see, move there. And the command is going to be a 3.5 second pulse. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4. Now the next time I press the button, I press it for any length of time, it's going to continuously move this filament.
Look at that.
Right? Now if I want to reverse that, I'm going to do it for 5 seconds instead of 3.5. So I'm let off, I'm going to press it again. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Let off. Press it again. It'll continue to move until I let off. So I'm going to back this all the way out. And we'll see it come out of the tube here.
And so all of these commands then that you're doing are just G-code to the bed to hit that switch.
That's right. It's just moving the Y-axis to that switch. You move it 1 millimeter in to the switch to trigger, 1 millimeter off to stop the trigger, right? So I'm going to switch to yellow by pressing 1/4 second. Okay, so now it's selected yellow. You saw that motion there.
I did,
now
yeah.
I'm going to advance it again, 3.5 seconds. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4. And now I'm going to press the button. and it's now moving the yellow filament into the Y adapter. It's just coming through the middle here. And now it's going to stick out the top.
And right there. Look at that.
And then we do the same thing. 5 seconds to unload. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. And the second press, it unloads.
So then, obviously, it's if we're talking about having to take an extra 8.5 seconds, 10 seconds per color, per layer.
Per layer, yes.
We're going, a 3D chameleon print is going to take longer to print. I mean, obviously, any multicolor print is going to take longer. Is that any longer or shorter than a palette print or an MMU print?
You know what? On an MMU print, not really, because the difference is we're only moving it from here to here. We're not unloading it all the way, right? On the palette,
I see.
Right. So on the MMU, you have to unload it all the way back into the MMU. So you've got a distance to go to, right? On the palette, though, you don't really do an unload. They're doing a hot cut and splice, right? So the color just changes. So theirs is going to be much faster, but it's also 2.5 times the price. So, and this is a little more universal from that perspective. I think this actually works on pretty much any machine. I mean, theirs is good. Don't get me wrong; it's fantastic design, but it's a lot more, right?
Right. Jay's asking, does that mean a little ooze but no color bleed or purge tower?
No. You definitely have to have a purge tower because there's still going to be stuff in your hot end, that you need to clean out. So you're definitely going to have the purge. But that's a function of the software, what that purge looks like. It could be an edge purge where you're just squirting out a little bit of filament. In fact, on the CR-30 here, I actually have a bucket that attaches to the top here. And when it comes up and does the the trigger on the Y, it actually dumps into a bucket at the top here. So,
that's perfect.
Yeah. And you could do something like the big brain guys have with that little side blob maker thing.
Oh, that's right. Oh, those are cool. I saw that on the Diabase machine.
Yeah, that's a clever little design. We'll leave the purge strategy and that's up to the software. So we'll do that.
Excellent.
Yep.
Mystics joined in. They're assuming the 3D chameleon is using a purge block to switch colors. How does the CR-30 handle it? And that's what you just said, where it has that purge bucket on the side, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple other ways of doing it. It's kind of interesting. You can actually do a purge into infill on a part with this the same way, right? So think about the way Prusa does it. Okay. So you can still do a purge into infill. They just don't have a belt version of Prusa yet. But what I have is I have my post processor, right? So post processor can plug into Cura, into a Prusa slicer, and it will process it just the same. So at that point, you can do a full color print, purge into infill. You can also do a side purge, or however you want to do it. So.
That's cool, man. That's really seen some great innovative design changes, because I remember the very first one was a lot of moving parts and a lot of PTFE and a lot of motors. And now, though, it's a nice, compact, neat, software-driven package.
So yeah, that was the idea, was that we took a lot of feedback or got a lot of feedback on that. People hated trying to adjust motor currents, right? Because every machine is different. You change your electronics, it's totally different. Well, so this design eliminates that. We leave that to our electronics, and our electronics do everything, right? Yep. So that has a benefit of making it a much easier install, because it installs pretty much the same way on every machine. You adapt the PTFE to the hot end, whatever it happens to be. Yep. And you print them out, and either it's one wire or two wires, but they're both from our electronics, right? So here you can see I've even. So this is a cool mount, because this is a generic mount. It's a 2040. We have a 2020 version as well. This mounts onto the Prusa, but it also mounts onto the frame here, the 2040 frame.
Okay.
But we also have the 2020 mount. It's the exact same mount. It's just that this bottom one is only spaced 20 millimeters away. It'll also mount on any of the 2020 frames.
So I think Stevie Canuck and let's see, and Sporluck, they're all asking about direct drive. I think they missed it, because
this is the direct drive version.
This is the direct drive version. So The motor feeds the filament, and then it gets out of the way, and it lets the standard extruder motor just take over and pull the filament as before.
Let me show you that. Let me go ahead and advance this filament. 1/1000, 2.
How are we doing on the belt?
3/1000, 4/1000. We are 3 inches.
Okay. And so what's happening now? Say it again.
I'm going to load the filament in, and I'm going to tap the button and let it go and show you that you can just pull it.
Perfect.
1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, 4. Okay, so now I'm loading the yellow filament in.
So now it's going to load, and then at one point you'll be able to it'll disengage and you can pull it.
Yep. So now that I have the filament exposed like this, I can just tap the button for 1/4 of a second, and it'll switch to any of the other colors. We don't care which one, right? So as long as it switches, and you just saw it switch there. So now the filament is let go, and I can now pull this. So your
cool.
hot end will actually grab a hold of that and just start printing. So the last few seconds of the transition from this machine to this machine, what you do is you drive both motors at the same speed, and that'll load it into the stock hot end. And once you've loaded it, then you press the button for 1/4 of a second, tell this guy to let go of the filament, and now the stock one's taken over.
So cool.
So here you can see this is the stock Prusa hot end, and this just, since I pushed that away, you just screw that back down onto there.
Yeah, essentially, so once it's done being loaded on a direct drive system, then it's really just the filament pathway. There's no restrictions on it. It's just flowing, and the extruder motor is doing all the work.
Exactly. Yep.
That's cool.
And the electronics on the Prusa are actually mounted right here. So I'm using one of the pre-drilled holes in the frame as the mount for this one. But it could also be mounted 80/20. But yeah, that's a nice little hidden spot for it.
RC Maniac's asking, any plans to support more than 4 filaments? And if I remember right, when I've talked to you before, 4 is just a theoretical limit, because you can go much. It just depends on your coded pulses and how many you've got driving it.
So right, with this model here, there's no limit. I mean, as long as you have a spot to trigger the switch, you can actually command up to 8 of these with one switch. So that's 32 units right there. And then if you had, for example, another location for another switch, you can put another 32 on it. So, I mean, the nice thing is these are compact. So 4 of them is in the size of, basically two classic extruders. We have 4 colors available there. So you could have one here and one here and one here, all in one machine, right?
How many? What's the max you've built?
I built my Gigabot with 32 on it.
That's awesome.
But the protocol that they communicate with each other is you don't technically you don't even need to have them communicating. So for example, if I had like the A30M from G-Tech, it's a dual extruder machine. I can have one attached to each extruder and just have 2 switches, and one on the X-axis, one on the Y-axis, and the cool thing with that is on the A30M, they have their Y-split hot end, and they can both be driven at the same time. So now I have 2 4 colors that can make any other additional color by mixing them.
Oh, that's almost RGB, right?
Could be, yeah. So,
wow.
And I will be demonstrating that at our next show, whatever that happens to be.
It's hopefully it's Murph, but
Yeah, that printer is sitting right out there on the floor out there. I haven't put it all together yet.
Of course it's on the floor.
Yeah, all my printers.
This multicolor method, multi-material method that you're showing off, this is what you currently have installed on the CR-30.
Yes. Yep. It's what's been printing this sword all day. So there you can see it installed right there.
Have you done any multicolor prints on the CR-30 yet?
I have, yes. So again, I'm still. Ooh, look how close those are getting to each other.
We're just building this up.
Cooling, that was fantastic. Look how straight that is now. That's great.
See, I did have a good idea.
You're a genius. And they're going to hit each other clearly. So But yeah, so I have the electronics here, and I have the switch. Let me run this around this way. You can see the switch right here.
Oh, right there. Okay.
So that just rolls up. Again, it's the very last 1 millimeter of travel on the y-axis here. Triggers that.
That's
And
cool.
then, yeah, I have the cables routed inside of the channel here all the way down, and you can see the cable for the motors come up, and they're routed in the same wiring harnesses that everything else is. So it's a very nice, clean install.
Oh, clean and tidy. That's
Yeah.
Man, that's great.
You know, I'm trying to be professional here.
I understand. Well, once a lot of these belt machines are in the wild, once the Kickstarters ship, you'll probably see some sort of influx of orders just because you're able to show it off working on a pre-production unit.
Oh yeah. Yep. So these units are shipping today. So we've got, you know, all of our back orders from when we did the virtual East Coast Rep Fest, we took orders, and so today was the magic day. We finished shipping all the back orders. So actually, not just the back orders, but all the recent orders as well. So we're 100% caught up on shipping those today. Finally,
sweet.
A lot of work to get there, but especially with my you know, with Dana taking a vacation in China for the last year. So
one day she'll be back and she'll be able to help out.
Yeah, actually, she's helped out so much, but yeah.
All right, man. Are they close?
They
I
are
don't wanna miss it.
1 inch away.
Oh.
2.5 inches away. So what
Are you
other
going to use your
questions do people
laptop
have
camera? Oh, other questions. Let's see.
Let me move this out of the way.
I don't know. Does anybody else have any questions out there for Bill? We still have a little bit of space in between our jousts. Our what lances? The lances, jousting lances. It's hard to. I'm looking, and it's hard to see the black filament against the blackness of the parts of the iFactory.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Maybe
You'll get the camera closer. I'm not worried about it. Oh, you know what? Here's a good question. Any issues with it clogging? And I don't know if he means the 3D Chameleon or if he means the belt printers.
And the answer to that is no. So I haven't had. So on any filament change, whenever you're doing it, you have to do it proper, right? You have to have the proper tip shape. And let me show you an example. So.
Oh yeah, you have to extrude a little bit and then pull it out, right?
Yeah, and you really want a tip shape, you know, something bullet shaped like. Let me find it. There, right there. So you want it nice and, you know, funnel shaped so that it actually can feed into the spot you took it out of, right?
Yeah.
And you also don't want the diameter any larger than the tubes that you're trying to shove it into. So those would jam it. So we actually spent quite a bit of research on developing a tip shaping algorithm to do that correctly. And that relies on
algorithm.
Yeah. So
wow.
The tool change code actually has a very intricate process in it that kind of bounces it back in and out of the hot end. It goes and dips it down in to clean out any debris that's in there and get rid of stringing. And we did a lot of analysis of what the actual failure modes were to figure out what the optimal way of fixing that was.
Wow.
And that actually is, you know, it looks like it's a very simple part, but the Y adapter that we have is actually way more complex than you would imagine. We actually have some zones inside of here that we call forging zones. And we actually, as we retract the filament out of the hot end, after we've done the dance inside the hot end to get it shaped, we actually bring it up into here and we continue to do the dance inside of here to make sure that it'll fit in the PTFE tubes and then it can easily glide through here and back down into the hot end.
I see.
So yeah, quite a bit of effort went into designing and you know, re-engineering this over and over many times. So
Brad had a question. Can it work on a Delta? And I mean, I've seen it work on the Artemis. Right?
Yeah. So I have it on. I've got many machines with it on Delta Wise. So we had in fact at the virtual East Coast Rep Fest, I had a machine here with it installed on it. The QQ QQ from FL Sun.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that one.
I also have it on the little Mini, the Delta Mini from Monoprice. I've got a little tiny version of it. So yeah, easily works on a Delta.
Perfect. Well, Matthias Much does the printer guard error detection work well on the iFactory? And I don't think that's ready, right? As far as
yeah, that's part of their Raspberry Pi. That's their we call it Spaghetti Detective. That's on their. That's not there. Look at this. We're about three-quarters of an inch away.
Someone said put a piece of paper on that side just so we can actually see it. Do you have a piece of paper handy we could stick behind there, like a white backdrop?
Yeah, let me see if I can find something nice there.
This is exciting. We're jousting. We're belt printer jousting.
I have a maybe this box will work.
Bill, you disappeared. There we go. Yes, there we go. Oh, that's perfect. Will it stay?
There.
Yes. Here we go. Everybody take a look.
About a half an inch away from each other. 3/8 of an inch. 1 finger width away.
That's right. It was RC Maniac. I remember him saying, do this on Twitter. So I want to give some credit where credit was due. I did see RC Maniac saying it on the Twitter.
Now, here's the cool part. Both of these printers have now started printing the I don't know what you call this, the shield, the hand shield, right, of my fancy design here.
Which means it'll take longer, right?
Take longer to print. I mean, it's still got this area to go, but they're obviously going to hit each other much sooner than that. So we should start hearing breakages here soon.
Yes. Yes.
How's that one look this way? I think I'm going to move this one just a shade. There you go.
It's super close.
So I had to prop up the CR-30 on some printed pieces here to get them to the same level. The iFactory's build plate is about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch taller. So you can see this block here I printed.
Oh, I see.
That's under all 4 feet.
I think we're there, right? Are they jousting?
They are not touching yet. They're 2 millimeters. Well, the problem is the yellow is over the top of the black for now.
Can the laptop camera get any closer?
Let's see here.
Can't believe we're actually doing this. Oh. Okay. Are you team yellow or are you team black? Hashtag team yellow or hashtag team black? I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that where it's at?
The black's tip is a little. It's got a little droop in it. That's one of those fancy parrying swords. What do they call them? Foils. It's a foil.
That's right. Yeah, when doing
they just touched each other. Yellow is. Oh yeah. They literally just came in contact with each other.
Ooh, it's happening. It's happening.
See that? Yellow is pushed the black down further.
Ooh.
See that? It bent it even further.
I do.
Yellow's bent a little bit too, but okay. I think yellow's going to break it. Oh, it snapped up a little bit there. I was going to say, I think yellow is going to break its tip off because it's so much thinner than the black tip at that area. But yeah, it's pushing it back down again.
So what are we hoping for? What do we want to happen?
I want them both to break at the same time. Oh,
That's
look
perfect.
how deep that one is. It's. I think it's going to snap back up in a second here again.
Well, we got the camera on it, and you are full screen, so we'll see what happens. Something should happen.
Oh, yellow is breaking.
Oh no!
It creased. It broke right on the. The yellow tip is so much finer in that very tip.
Because just because of the adhesion.
It wrapped around on the bottom. So yeah, so that's. Well, I'll tell you what, they both have a gorgeous print. Both of them did a really nice job. Let me go ahead and show you that while they're fighting it out. Let me show you the quality of the print there. You see that?
It looks really good.
Yeah, they're both identical in quality. Let's see where
and since they're both using the same G code, that's a good thing.
Yep.
Look at this.
The little tiny tip that broke off the black one is also gone now off the yellow one. So now the yellow is going to be a lot stiffer, and it's again diving back into the black again. You can see it pushing it back down.
Jeremiah says, this is so my sport now. And honestly, like 3D belt printer jousting, everybody has to come up with their own design, something that's, their own belt, and they have to go against each other. And
so I think we've got two firsts here today, maybe three. We have two belt printers competing face-to-face. That's one, right?
Yep.
Jousting, that's two. And number three, the CR-30 is the first four-color belt printer in the world, I believe.
I think that is correct. I'm pretty sure.
The yellow just poked into the black.
Oh, okay. We're prepping for damage now.
Yes, it's oh yeah, it's
Naomi's not going to get to see the end. Thank you, Naomi. Not sure if you're still there, but I appreciate you joining in on this little stream of ours. Thank you very much.
Oh, look at them fighting. They're bouncing now. Oh yeah, look at that.
This is such a sport. Oh man. I don't know what's going to happen. Like something.
The yellow just poked right into the black. It's inside of it right now.
Ooh, something's going to happen. I think everybody who's team yellow is really on maybe the right side of history here. Mattis 3D Creations does say that's a prison shank fight.
Yes. The yellow is, it actually snapped off inside of the black.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it poked a hole in it, and then that tip broke off. So I would say there's equal damage to them each right now. But the yellow continues to bend the black down into it. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a war of attrition here. And the black is actually going to run into the Creality logo because the yellow is pushing it down into it. See how that angle is driving it down? And I believe that might be the death knell for the black if we continue this.
This is awesome. Wait, where'd it go? There we go. Phil says this video will get demonetized. Okay, so then are we at the end? Are we? There's really nothing else that's going to happen with the belt?
Right. I think we're going to see the tip of the black break off here. Actually, I believe the yellow might break off too, because I believe it's going to run into the same issue.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. What am I hearing?
I don't know.
I'm hearing cracking from somewhere.
So, is part adhesion still good on the bed?
part adhesion is fantastic on both machines. They're both absolutely perfectly on the bed all the way down, even while they're cold. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, they're both look identical adhesion-wise.
26 more likes on this stream, and Dave from Printed Solid will give away 5 spools of filament. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yes. You always want to do a rewind on them and watch that again and again and again, right?
That's right.
So, you know what? These look pretty much like a draw to me.
Wow. A draw, a literal draw.
Yep.
Well, it's, you know what we can do? So here, I'm going to come back in. So why don't we let it keep going, because we are now over 500 likes, and so I can do the draw for the 5 spools of filament from Dave. How about we do that while you're still...
While we watch the draw.
We'll draw while we watch the draw. Well, good. I'll get this set up. I'll put you back into the big screen there, and then there we go. Okay, so I'll set up for the draw. Let's see. I will see. Setting up for Printed Solid. Jesse PLA draw. There we go. See, it's cool. So I can do. There we go. I can put my my note on the screen there. There we go. Wow, we got plenty of draws. Okay, well, good. So obviously, you have to be present to win, and I check by tagging people in the chat. Let me go to the form, and I'm going to go to the form, and we are going to then, what are we going to do? We are going to take the form and stop accepting entries, because, I mean, I don't think we're going to hit 1,000, so that's fine. So we're not accepting responses now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. I got to load up Wheel of Fish. Wheel of Fish. And we're going to go by YouTube screen name. There we go. I'm getting this set up. Okay, so I'm going to click to spin. I've got a name. Okay, let's see if they're still in there. Well, shoot, this person is no longer with us. I have to redraw. I tried. Okay. We're drawing the next one. Ooh, I have a name. Oh my goodness, this person isn't with us either. Wow. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, we remove. And we draw again. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying. This person might be with us. How about? This is the third name that's not with us. I'm kind of sad about this. People have to like stick around, you know. Well, let's draw again.
Both these printers are just performing so good. There's absolutely no way you go wrong with either one of them.
I'm so happy to hear that. I am so happy to hear that. Okay, fourth name, not there. Fourth name is not there, so we draw again. Wow, 4. I'm just going to come out and say this right here. The fourth name, 4. 4 people. 4 people. Okay, so here's... Ooh, okay, here's a name. The fifth name is not in the chat. That's unfortunate. Okay, here's the... Sixth name, not in the chat. Boy, this is tough to give away a spool of filament.
I think they should just give one to everybody.
Let's see. Okay, now let me search for this person. That person's not here either. Wow. This is terrible. I'm so sorry.
They don't have a tool for doing a snapshot of users right now?
No, no, no. They have to click a link and enter in the description. Yes. Yes. There we go. The first person.
Oh, and look here.
The first person.
Just run into the Creality logo.
Cool. We're going to see some...
We're going to see carnage here. And oh, yes. I can hear it cracking. And yellow is just pushing it down.
Well, the first winner is Brandon Donnelly. Congrats, Brandon. There we go. And I will mark that as win. Okay. So... So now we spin again. And if I go here, look at that. Something bad's going to happen, man. Okay, let's see if this person is there. Perfect, they are. This person is here as well. I will mark them as a win. There we go.
So, you know, I'm going to, while you're doing that, I'm going to show you guys something.
Well, here, hold on. Look at that.
Oh,
Rem Thompson.
Rem
Rem Thompson is a winner. Congrats, Rem Thompson. Oh, man. Congrats. You won a spool. Marked it down. Wait, what do you get? If you're showing something, I'm going to make it full screen again.
Yep, I want to show 2 things. Actually, just one thing, but a lot of people wonder what the seam does, the joint does to your print. And if you take a look at that, I don't know if you can see that. I can't see the screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Literally, there are no artifacts at all in the print from that seam. And the exact same thing is true of the Creality. You can see the seam there. There's no artifacts at all right there. So, yeah. So
that's great.
The joints do absolutely nothing to the part.
I can on my belt. I can see the joint in the part, in the
on the bottom
left. But yeah, but there's nothing. There's nothing structurally wrong with it.
So here you can see the zigzag pattern of this machine, right? So that's this zigzag you see right here.
Oh, that's right.
And you can see the shadow in the part here. And on the Creality, their seam is straight across. I actually don't see it in the bottom of the print here.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, actually, I do. I do. Right here it is. Wow, that's so faint though. I don't know if it'll even pick up on the camera here. Let's see if I can get it to.
You'd need a better camera.
There.
Bill, if you're going to be a YouTuber, we got to get you a good camera.
See it right there? Straight line across. Can you see that color change? Right there.
Oh, I see it. I do see it.
You got to get the light just right to see it, but that's it right there. That's the only artifact.
I have to show this off. Loyal Moses won a spool of filament. Loyal, I got to know. You would be the third winner, but if I don't think you need another spool of filament, would you like to throw it back into the pile? Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't want to make any decisions for you, Loyal, but my guess is you'll probably if I miss it, Loyal, you got to let me know. Oh wait, what? Okay, because of this interface, the super chats come up. Dang it. Okay, hold on, because something happened. Okay, so legit, Loyal has said that if his name is drawn, then the next draw gets a Prusa Mini, thanks to Loyal.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, well...
Come on, Bill Steele.
Loyal, I'm assuming that they need to be present to win. Is that right? I'm assuming. Just making sure. And yeah, have to be present. Okay, I'm seeing it. Have to be present. Present to win. Okay, here we go. This is okay. So first of all, I have to mark Loyal as winning a roll of Prusament. I'm sorry, not Prusament. Printed solid Jesse PLA. He already has plenty of Prusament. He has plenty of printed solid too. Now, get flustered, you guys. So okay, do we do it? Okay, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to do a spin. I'll put you back. There you go, Bill. Look at look at that.
Yeah, the tip is completely broke off over here. It's hanging down on the black.
Okay, so right now, I'm sorry I missed the super chats, but right now I am drawing for a Prusa Mini thanks to Loyal. And I have a name. Let's see if they are in the chat. Okay, I'm searching. Oh no, this person is not here. Sad. Sad. Okay. Well, we draw again. Being present to win is tough on a stream where you never know where it's going to end. Here we go. I have a name. I have a name. Let's see if this person is here. Oh no, this person is not here. Okay. It's going to take me forever to do this. At least you guys can watch Belt Printer's sword fight. Joust! Not sword fight. Well, I guess a lance is a sword, so it is technically sword fighting. Just not like in The Princess Bride.
I mean, and really, I designed a sword, right?
Oh, that's right. This is your creation.
Yeah. And these are the old versions. They're faceted. The new ones are actually smooth. Much better design. You know, iterative design. That's how you do that. For a belt printer, you gotta redesign parts. Is a good example, right? These flaws in here because it's a belt printer and the way it's printed.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. A lance is not a sword, Stevie Canuck says. So that, I mean, I understand. I understand. Okay. So let's see.
It's a really, really long sword. Or a bicycle, racer.
Ooh, I have a name. We'll see if they're here. This person is not here either.
So the
goodness.
end of the black is actually just curling up. I didn't even think about this. When it's hitting the belt, the Creality belt is actually driving it down. So it's curling up like a snail shell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the yellow is just passing right over the top of the black, actually assisting it in driving it down into the belt.
Okay.
I was thinking that the black one would actually dive under the yellow and actually peel it off the build plate. Oh, but the actual belt on the Creality is grabbed a hold of the tip and is steering it away from that.
Okay, listen, this person is also not in the chat as well. So this is getting kind of ridiculous. So listen, for drawing the names, this is going to be for the Prusa Mini. We still have 2 spools of filament left to go as well. I can put up the Wheel of Fish and take a look at the names, and then then you guys can see everyone that's either here or not, or that person can jump back in, right? Because I'm just trying to tag them in the YouTube chat interface. So I can, okay, I'm going to put up the Wheel of Fish. When a name is drawn, that person has to come forward in the chat. I have to be able to see that they're a part of the chat. So I don't know how the best way is to do that. Yeah, and everybody says they're here. That's great. If only the Wheel of Fish would pick you, right? So I'll try it one more time. One more time. This is for a Prusa Mini from Loyal Moses himself. And, okay, I have a name. I have a name. Okay, so again, I'm not saying this person is a winner. Here's what I'm saying. This person, it picked this little termy. Love the name. I cannot tag you in the chat interface. So I don't think you're there, and I would just pick a new person. And so that's this person, it says they're a winner, but I cannot tag them in the chat interface. No one can see them, so we're drawing again. We're doing it live. Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we're doing it live. Here we go. They have to verify they're here. Mark Koziel. Is Mark Koziel here? Is Mark? See, I cannot tag a Mark Koziel. They are not here. Okay, we spin again. Wheel of Fish goes on. Here we go. This is for a Prusa Mini. Tinker Dad 71, are you here? I am not able to tag a Tinker Dad 71. So we spin again. I'm working on it, so we spin again. Here we go. This is for a Prusa Mini. A Prusa Mini, and it is Raw Champa. I don't see them here. I don't see them here. Okay, I'm kind of sad about this. So, here's what we're going to do. Listen. We're going to spin again. We're going to get it. Jasper is a Jasper here. There is a Jasper. Hot diggity. Jasper, you have won a Prusa Mini. That's awesome. There we go. That person is there. There we go. Okay, I will mark Jasper Kormansek. Jasper. And I will mark them as orange in my spreadsheet for the Prusa Mini. Okay. Okay, this is going to be for... there's 2 spools of filament left. Wait, hold on. Look at that.
An interesting turn of developments here. The black has actually folded over the tip completely underneath of itself and is now peeling up the white or the yellow blade off of the, you can see it's lifted it up about 3-4 millimeters here. So if this holds up, the yellow doesn't stand a chance.
Ooh.
It will pull it right off the build plate.
Ooh. Jousting.
Yep.
Jousting at its best. Wow, Bill.
So not only that, if you take a look at the hilt of the sword, you will see a flaw in it.
Uh-oh.
Where that actually was caused by the black one doing that. The black one is absolutely perfect all the way back to the hilt here.
Two more spools of filament. We got to give it away. Darn you, Dave at Printed Solid. There we go. That person is here. Fantastic. So, one more winner of Printed Solid Jesse PLA is Nicholas Hansen. There we go. I will mark you as good to go. There we go. Okay, last one. Last one. And we'll go back to, there we go. Just gonna pick the last one. Last one. Last one. Last one spinning now. I have. Oh, that person is not here. Oh, geez. Okay. Spinning again. I guess a lot of people just kind of jump out and don't want to stay the whole time, right? That's understandable. There we go. I have a fifth person. That person is Robert Hay. Robert Hay is our fifth and final winner. There we go. Well, we've got 5 printed solid Jesse PLA winners, and we also have 1 Prusa Mini winner. Look at that. Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Fine.
So what's going on here? What do we have?
I think we have a draw here.
Okay. We'll have to repeat this when the iFactory machine comes to me, I think. I think that's fair.
Yeah, probably.
And maybe instead of using 2 sharp tips to joust, I will use maybe like that I-beam or that block. And maybe we'll get printers pushing printers across the table or whatever.
Right.
2 printers enter, 1 printer leaves.
Turn them around this way.
Sure, why not? What time is it? Oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna get home and have some dinner. Hey, Bill, thank you for joining us here on this stream.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
I would love it if you could tell the audience the various cool ways that people can find you. Because obviously you're WJ Steele with an E on the Twitter, but what about 3D Chameleon? What about Polar 3D?
Yeah, 3dchameleon.com. Yeah, Polar 3D, obviously polar3d.com. But yeah, I don't really do anything with Polar anymore because of the relationship with GE. I actually work at GE, so there's financial interest there that I couldn't have to. I didn't want to deal with. But
you work on cool stuff at GE.
I do some cool stuff. Yes, I design 3D printers for GE. In case you don't know, those of you out there don't know, big industrial printers.
Right. We're not talking about bed flingers. We're not talking about, these the Delta machines. We're big belt machines. We're talking about industrial.
Yeah, we make jet engines. So
yeah. Yeah. That's just so cool.
This is I just absolutely love to see where these belt printers have come, and I can't wait to see where they're going to continue to go. I designed that first one, oh my gosh, back in 2014. Somewhere around in that area.
That's forever ago.
Yeah. And seeing, when I saw Karl's, I just fell in love with the White Knight. And it just absolutely the same thing with the black belt. I saw those designs. I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to take off. But the cost was a little prohibitive, and I'm so happy to see these sub-$1,000 machines here that are becoming available, and I can't wait to see where both of these machines go. They're both, they're both producing parts with that kind of quality. That's 3D printer quality. It's what we expect them to do, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy to see that. I can't wait for the others that will be coming in the future to come out as well.
Yeah, me too, man. Well, this was cool. Well, again, thank you, Bill, for doing this. This was a lot of fun. I want to say thanks to everybody who stopped by to watch. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks to Loyal for actually donating a Prusa Mini. Someone's going to have a really wonderful Christmas. And thanks for all the super chats. That super chat war going back and forth was just crazy. Believe me, I owe Bill a nice steak dinner and a tasty beverage once we can gather. But listen, stay safe, be awesome. And we'll see you on the next one. I've got a Fan Mail Friday coming up, and this Sunday, Bill, you might like this. This Sunday, it's a rocket-themed episode.
Oh, nice! Yeah.
Good. With some slow motion footage. It should be a lot of fun.
Rocket stuff. You got SpaceX guys. You did a wonderful job today. That was so cool.
That was so cool. Listen, we'll see everyone later, and Hug each other more, and from a safe distance, high five. High five, Bill.
High five.